Today I'm taking an old lunch counter classic and turning it into a delicious lunch or a light supper. This is my light patty melt, cheesy, oniony, and full of beefy deliciousness. I can't wait to dig in, and if you can't wait to see how this is done, stick around because it's coming up next. Hello and welcome to my kitchen. My name is Roy. I am a home cook and amateur baker, and I'm here on this channel sharing recipes that have helped me to lose over 125 pounds, whether those recipes are mine or someone else's. Now today is one of mine, and it's based on a classic lunch counter dish, the patty melt. I love making these for lunch. We're gonna have ours for dinner tonight, because I also have a big pot of soup over here, which is going to be shown on Sunday in a collaboration with Joan from Joan's Pointed Plate, as well as about 16 other channels. So make sure you have the notification bell checked so that you'll be notified when that does come out on Sunday at 9 o'clock in the morning. But since I already made soup, I decided to go a little easy on myself and make a patty melt. Now patty melts you don't really hear a lot about anymore. They used to be on like menus all over the place, but it doesn't seem to be as popular anymore. Tuna melts seem to be a little more widespread than patty melts, but since I'm not a seafood fan, I go for the patty melt and I love it. So let's go over these ingredients quickly. There's not very many here. Also, before I go on, I am writing this up as a recipe for one. I'm going to be making two here, one for me and one for my partner, Paul, but I am writing the recipe up as just a single serving, but you can obviously make as many of them as you need to. So the ingredients, I have here some cooking spray and some black pepper. I have 4 slices of a light bread. This is the one that I'm using, Freihofer's reduced calorie Italian, 40 calorie. In other parts of the country, you might see a similar package, but it doesn't go by the name Freihofer's. I don't recall what the name of it is, but any bread that you want to use is fine. Here I have some sliced onion, and I sliced it from the root to the tip because when you're cooking them down and you want them to soften, that is a much better direction to cut them because they do soften up much more easily cutting it that way. I did a whole tutorial a while back on the basics of cutting onions, so I'll throw a card up here and I'll link it down in the description box. But I also did just show a little overhead clip of what I was talking about. It's about 1/4 of a medium onion per person, so I have half a medium onion sliced there. I have here some Worcestershire sauce. My jaw is loosening up a little bit, so that wasn't as difficult as I thought it would be to say. I have 1 teaspoon here, but that's double, of course, because I am making 2. So it would just be 1/2 teaspoon. And again, it's going to be listed in the recipe as a serving for 1. I have here 2 slices of cheese per person. Paul is just having regular. I am using fat-free, and I've found that the store brands tend to be better on bites and points. These 2 slices are just one Better Balanced Bite or Old Blue Point. And I've also noticed if anyone is in an area where you have a Price Chopper or a Market 34, I think it's called, 54. Anyway, Price Chopper, their fat-free cheese is surprisingly less expensive than when I get it at Stop & Shop. Stop & Shop's store brand fat-free cheese is like $6, and this was about $3.75, something like that. So if you are in an area that does have a Price Chopper, they have a very good fat-free cheese, and it's great on bites and points as well as the wallet. And Price Chopper, quite honestly, can be a little more expensive, especially in their meats and stuff I've noticed. But this is one area where they are cheaper than the others. But I definitely look at store brands rather than name brands. They tend to be a little better on bites and points. And here I have 2 patties for 2 people, obviously, of 93% ground beef. That was the one I could find. I couldn't find any 96. You could use 90%, you could use 93, 96, whatever it is. Just make sure that you are inputting all of your ingredients into your recipe builder as you're using them. All right, so now let me shuffle a few things around and we're gonna get these things started. Okay, so first, before I forget, I'm going to just give a little pepper to the patties. Now I'm not salting them because the Worcestershire sauce does have some salt in it. So I don't want to add any more salt than I need to. So I'm going to take my cooking spray and set this over medium-high heat, spray that pan, and then I'm going to toss in the onions, and they don't have to wait for this to heat up. They can heat up as the pan is heating up. Now, what we're going to do is let these cook down for about 15 minutes or so because we want them to get softened and get a little color on them. So I'm going to let these cook about 15 minutes, stirring them frequently, trying to get them into a nice amber color at least, get a little color on them, soften them up quite a bit, and then we will move on. Okay, so it's been just about 15 minutes, and if they start to darken too much, turn down the heat to medium. Everyone's stovetop is different, so your medium might be more like my medium high. Now what we're gonna do is toss in the Worcestershire and just coat the onion mixture with the Worcestershire. Then I'm going to separate them into 2 piles, one for each of the burgers. And you want to spread it out fairly evenly for about the size of the patty. And that looks fairly good. Now I'm going to take my patty, and these are going to be, they're pressed out so they're a little flimsy and thin, but just be gentle with them and carry them over. You can pinch them together if you need to, if they've separated, although it'll be in the middle of the sandwich, so you don't have to worry too much. Okay, and I'm going to press down to kind of seal those onions into the burger. And if you need to, you can coat your spatula with cooking spray if it's going to stick too much. You can also just wiggle it a little bit and get that loose. And now I'm going to, while this cooks, make my sandwiches. I'm going to start putting the cheese on top of each slice. As I said, those are Paul's. These are my fat-free slices. My jaw is really giving me some issues today. Probably because I already shot a video and all that talking worked out my jaw. But anyway, you want to put a slice of the cheese on each piece of the bread. And you can see the burgers around the edges are starting to darken. So I'm going to flip them. So that took about maybe a minute on that side. We're going to do about another minute. And I know typically they say don't press on a burger, but we're going for a thin burger so that it fits onto our bread. And we're going to give this another minute on this side. Okay, so it's been about a minute. Going to take each burger off, put it onto our cheese on one of these slices of bread. Scrape up anything that's stuck to the bottom here of this pan because we're just going to cook it again in this same pan. Going to fold over the other slice onto our burger, and I'm going to grab some paper towel and a set of tongs so I can clean this out without burning myself. And anything that's in here, I'm going to go dump in the trash. So now I'm going to spray the pan again with cooking spray, but this time, and I did forget to mention this, I'm going to add some butter spray. You could do some light butter, however you want to make it, but just to give it a slight buttery flavor. And I'm going to put each burger in here over the heat. While it's on that side, I'm going to spray this side with some butter spray. And then we're going to, just like a grilled cheese, we're going to let each side toast, So let this sit here for a minute and then we'll flip them. I do like to press down a little bit just to make sure that all of the bread is getting in contact with the heat. And I flip them fairly often. See, it's already browning on this side because I have it on medium high. I can feel the cheese is melted because the bread is sticking. Just going to give it a minute on this side, flip it again, all there is to it. Now when I flip them this time, I'm going to flip them so that you can see that there's a little white on the edges here. I'm going to flip them so that that stays in the middle, because what happens is the pan often gets hottest in the middle. So I'm going to flip it and let that side get a little browning. Then you can see over here, these bottom edges have the same problem. So once these are ready to flip again, I'll flip them so that this side is in the middle and let that brown up, and then we're done. Okay, and they are done. I'm going to take them out of the pan. That one's Paul's, this one's mine, I'm pretty sure, because mine had the yellow cheese on it. And I'm going to cut mine open just so that you can see the inside. Nice and cheesy, nice burger in there, fully cooked. Didn't take very long because we had the patties so thin. But there you have it, that's all there is to it. Now I'm gonna give you the bites and points and calories and macros for mine, not for Paul's. Because I'm using the regular cheese, everything else is the same except for the cheese. He's not a fan of the fat-free cheese. So for one patty melt, the way I made it, using all of these ingredients, the beef, the cheese, etc., this is going to be 6 Better Balanced bites or Old Blue Points. I'm on the Healthy Better Balanced plan, which is equivalent to the old WW Blue plan, so those are the bites and points that I give. But usually I'll have these for lunch and then have some chicken and something for dinner so that it's not really eating too much into my bite for the day. Now, if you used 96% ground beef, that would come out to 5 Better Balanced bites or Old Blue Points, even though the beef itself comes out as 2 because I used 2.5 ounces of each. Did I say that originally? Yeah, each of the patties was 2.5 ounces. I'm not sure if I actually said that. Anyway, for 2.5 ounces of the beef, either one, it's going to be 2 Better Balanced bites or Blue Points, but because of that healthy WW math, the 93% is 6 bites, the 96% would be 5 bites. And if you were following calories, the calories for this would be 260. And if you're following macros, the fat would be 6 grams. The carbs would be 27.1 grams. The fiber would be 6.5 grams. And the protein would be 28.7 grams. And again, that's using what I used, using the 93% beef, etc. I have this sometimes just by itself, sometimes with a few pretzels, sometimes with soup. As I was mentioning earlier, we're going to have it with some soup that I am not going to disclose to you just yet because it will be coming up on Sunday. So remember to hit the notification bell so you are alerted about that collaboration. 9 a.m. Saturday Eastern time. Eastern. I always forget to say Eastern. I'm so Eastern-centric that I don't even think about other time zones. How dare I? But the recipe for this will be on my blog, and I will link directly to that recipe in the description box, as well as to the blog itself if you're looking for any of my other recipes. Also down there is my Amazon storefront. If I've used anything that you're interested in finding, it may be there. My Fetch rewards, my Built Bar rewards, my social media, both Instagram and 2 Facebook groups. So go check out the description box for all sorts of information that you might find useful. And if you wouldn't mind doing the usual thing, like, subscribe, comment, share, and hit the notification bell so you're alerted when certain collaboration videos come out. Anyway, I am going to go get this prepped, get my soup ready, and Paul and I are going to dig in. So until next time, bye.